Hey, what's going on, guys? In this video, I'm going to break down my ultimate metal vocal chain using Waves plugins. And this is how I treat aggressive screamed vocals for hardcore and metal using some of my go-to all-time favorite Waves plugins. So there's a little piece of a song I'm working on. So let's check out what the vocals sounded like just raw. Not afraid of pain, not afraid of what I used to see, but not very exciting, right? But that's kind of a typical sound of a scream vocal that you would get. So first in the chain is going to be the Waves SSL channel. This is basically my favorite Waves plugin. I use it across almost every track in the mix on all of my mixes. But specifically for a scream vocal, I'm cranking up the 8K here. So big boost at 8K, another big boost around 4K here as well. I'm doing 6 dB there. Also boosting a few dB, actually almost 5 dB around 2K as well. So we're really pumping up that top end kind of presence, and then also the upper mid range just kind of bite and cut through the mix with that 2 to 4K range. And then we're just dipping out a little bit of low end with a shelf here around 120 Hertz. So let's check this out. Not afraid of pain, not afraid of what I just to see, but taste the bass, just can't. Now that EQ is also feeding into the compressor that's built in here. So I'm using a 6:1 ratio, fast attack, fast release, and let's listen to that. Not afraid of pain, not afraid of what I just to see, but taste the bass. Now since it's compressing, we're losing a bit of level there, but it's also just really kind of containing all those big boosts that I did. That's why I put this channel out button in so that I can do big EQ moves into a compressor that will kind of smooth it all out. So that's my first stage of compression there. So already we're getting a big difference with this plugin. Not afraid of pain, not afraid of what I just to see. Now following that, I'm using the CLA 76, the blue version, and I start with the in-your-face vocal preset here. So if we go under bluey, we got in-your-face vocal. It's 4:1, medium attack, fast release. Now listen to what this does. Not afraid of pain, not afraid of what I just to see. Now, by the way, there's two scream tracks here just overlaid, and these are linked together. So if I change one, it changes the other as well, just so you know. But let's check this out again. Bypass. Not afraid of what I just to see. Not afraid of what I just to see. Okay, here's bypass again on both. Not afraid of pain, not afraid of what I just to see. Not afraid of pain, not afraid of what I just to see. So notice how I'm almost pinning this needle all the way down with gain reduction. Now this is not just about level control. I mean, if you look at these waveforms, they're not that dynamic, and I'm already compressing with the SSL channel. It's about the attitude that this compressor gives, and that's why we need that kind of extreme gain reduction, because listen to what it does for how hard it sounds like he's screaming the words. Like the starts of the words, the syllables, the B's and P's and S's, they just start to jump out of the speakers. It sounds like he's screaming twice as hard as he actually is. One more AB on that. Not afraid of pain, not afraid of what I just. Not afraid of pain, not afraid of what I just to see. That's why I love this compressor. So that's always my go-to vocal compressor here. All right, I'm following that up with the Waves Renaissance de-esser. Now, I've used many de-essers over the years. There's lots of good ones, but for some reason I just find this one so easy to use and effective. So often I'm starting with the female de-ess setting, which is down here. I use the wideband setting, and I don't know, I just find it really easy to dial in and use, and I'm usually ending up around the 8 to 9K area. You can see at 8.7K here, just because I like the sound of boosting a lot of 8K on vocals, so I often have to attenuate the S's after that. So let's find a section here with S's and see what this is doing. So you can see it attenuating on those S's there. Here's bypass. Now following up your big kind of high-end EQ boost that you do for presence and aggression on these types of vocals, you can just tame down only the S's that are jumping out too much with those EQ moves so that you get the best of both worlds. You can have a really bright, aggressive vocal that's cutting through the mix, but attenuate that harshness that can happen on the S's. Sometimes you need to do a lot more here. These vocals weren't too S'y to begin with, but I really like this handy range feature, which basically says, and you can set the threshold to clamp down on all the S's, but it's only going to attenuate this much. So I can set it to only attenuate 8 dB here, because if I do too much, it's going to sound like the singer has a lisp, so we don't want to do that. So again, pretty quick and easy de-essing plugin to set up, and then use this range to control how much de-essing you're actually going to do. Lastly, the L1 limiter. It's also been a favorite of mine on many different instruments, bass, sometimes guitar leads, definitely vocals, screaming or singing. But let's check out what we got here. It doesn't work too hard. It just kind of evens off and is kind of the final containing piece on my vocal track. Not afraid of what I just say, but now how this is working is with this compressor, it's really creating a lot of spikes because it's letting the initial transient through. That's what's creating the kind of extra punch and aggression in our vocal track. But you want to have those not be too harsh to the listener, and along with the de-esser, the L1 can kind of just shave off and attenuate those peaks on the vocals. And I don't know, it just has a certain subtle tone to it that really just nails down a track in its place. And whenever I want a track to just sit exactly where I want it in the mix, so often bass and vocals, I'll put the L1 last in the chain, only doing a couple dB on the peaks, just like this. Not afraid of me, not afraid of what I just said. Now let's bypass. Not afraid of me, not afraid of what I just said. Not afraid of me, not afraid of what I just said. Now, I don't know, it's kind of subtle to hear, but not only does it kind of contain the peaks, but it just tends to just really nail down the track exactly where I want it to stay and just have its own space and its own place in the mix. So that's usually last in my scream vocal chain. So let's bypass it all and put it on again just to show you my A-B of the final chain for vocals. Hopefully this is helpful for you guys. If you own these Waves plugins, definitely check out this chain. So again, SSL channel first with EQ, adding a lot of high end and presence, feeding into the compressor, 6-to-1, fast attack, fast release. Follow that up with aggressive compression on the CLA Bluey plugin here. Tame the S's with the de-esser, and then finish it all off, smooth it all off at the end with the L1 limiter, and just nail it exactly where you want in the mix. Try it out. I think it'll work for your metal and hardcore mixes. By the way, very similar chain for singing vocals. Pretty much just the de-essing and the EQ moves will change a little bit. Maybe not quite as aggressive with the EQ moves on a singing vocal. Just depends what it is though, but a lot of the compression and everything that I use is the same for melodic vocals as well. Again, my name's Jordan. I have a website at hardcoremusicstudio.com if you want to get more tips and tutorials on recording, producing, mixing, and editing heavy music specifically. So I focus on stuff that works for metal, hardcore, heavy rock. So if you're a metal producer, engineer, definitely check out hardcoremusicstudio.com. I've got a free metal production guide there for you that you can download and lots of other resources. So check it out, hardcoremusicstudio.com. Thanks for watching this video. Hopefully talk soon. Just can't stop moving my feet. Not afraid of me, not afraid of what I just say. But taste the pace. Just can't stop moving my feet.